And welcome back. So we're going to just go into the layout here. Let's get familiar with CapCut and what it looks like. So when you're here in your main screen, this is where you'll have other projects. After you start editing and creating projects, they're going to be stored down here under the Home tab. You have other options like where we're going to start a new project in a moment. You'll be able to do script to video, which is an AI tool on here. Let me go through some other options. This is where you can search for projects. If you have loads of projects here, you're going to choose whether you want it as a grid or a list, whether you see these as a grid like 4x4 or whatever it is, and your trash where you've taken stuff into your bin. Over here is spaces where it's saving to. Here's my history. If I go on templates, I can also have a look at some existing templates and just start with a template as opposed to an existing project. I have all the different options for different trending. I can also, if I know I wanted landscape as opposed to portrait for mobile phone, if I wanted landscape, I could choose that. And then I can start having a look at what these are. If I wanted to start with a template, and I can set the limits for these too. But we're not going to do that. We're going to create our own project. I just want to quickly alert you to Pro and what that is. Right now you have the free version, but there is a paid version of CapCut if you want to. If I click this, these prices may change depending on where you are in the world. Obviously, I'm set to the USA right now, showing me in dollars, and these may change throughout time. So there's monthly, 1 month, 1 year costs. And what do you get for that? You get some premium effects. You can also have more storage, etc. If I click on purchase, let's just follow that through and I will show you what these screens are like. You're probably only going to want to use Pro if you are going to have this as a full-time editor. If you really need more space, I wouldn't rush into it straight away just yet. Let's not do that. Let's get used to the software. Use the free version. If it's a software that you like, obviously come back. If you need the Pro version, then do that. And that's absolutely what it's for. So let's click up here in new project. So the first time you come on here, you may see something similar that's going to start explaining to you where things are. I can go through this. It's showing me how I import things in the window there. If I go next, it'll show me how I drag things onto my timeline, where everything else is. Okay, I've got it. Next, okay, I can skip through these because I'm going to show you. So this is what the layout is going to look like on your editing window. It actually puts something in here already to start showing me where things are laid out. Quite basically, this is your media. So if I click on media at the top here, this is where I put my own footage. Obviously, CapCut has given me this already. If I wanted to, I could click on that. I can hit backspace and it says, are you sure you want to delete this? Yes, confirm it. Okay, let's delete that. And now I've got nothing down here on my timeline because the timeline, this is where you're dragging your shots and telling CapCut in which order to put things to then see your masterpiece here in player. So I've got nothing in my timeline, so it can't be putting it in my bin here, so I've got nothing on my timeline. So this is where I'm going to put in our footage, and in the next video I'm going to click and import our video that you can download, but just to show you the layout right now. So this is exactly where we put this. This is your player, so when you drag things onto your timeline and tell CapCut what order you want things in, this is where it will show it. And over here is where you can modify all the details here. If I click modify, I'll show you this. This is basically working out what the resolution and frame rate, etc. of your content is. I've got it as adapted. Now, if you know that your content you're putting in is a certain size, then you can do that. Otherwise, it's going to be based on what you adapted to what you dragging first. If the first shot you drag in on your timeline is 16 by 9 or 916 or 180 by 180, whatever the resolution is, it'll set your timeline to that, and then every other shot you drag on will appear in that format and that resolution. But if you click adapted, it'll just match to exactly what it is that you're dragging in first. You can choose where to save it to. I'm saving here to my Lacy drive. You can choose where to go into that for if you want to. Also, this is quite handy in performance here. If you're running on a slower machine, or perhaps you have an older machine, or you have really big files that are taking a lot of storage to play, you can turn on proxy, which basically means it's grabbing less data from the shots, so you're going to be able to play more fluidly and it won't take up as much space when you are rendering this or using it at all. So you can turn that on if you have a slower machine. That's always useful to know. But this is where you change everything here. Cancel. Now I'm going to go into all of the tools in a bit. Like this is where I choose between selecting like a cursor, or I split the shots up if I want to cut things. Also other tools down here. I will show you all of that in the next lecture. Let me just go back one moment. I wanted to show you something. If we go back to where we were starting before we hit a new project, you can see now I've started a new project and it called it 0108. We saw that underneath the modify section. I could have renamed that, and I can actually do that right here. If I go rename, I can rename this right now. I can show you that. Let's just call this CapCut Edit Test. And if I go up onto here, this is also where you can put the settings, much similar to that I've just shown you in the modify section. This is where I can choose where to save it to, where I can turn on auto upload. In the edit, I can set all the layers that I need to here, frame rate, etc. Performance, once again, I've shown you already about proxy, and then your language right there. So if you wanted to do it here before you entered into CapCut, you can, or you can change them if I open up this project again in the modify section. So to recap that really quickly, here's where I'm going to put in my footage. Here's where I drag my footage down and put it in the order I want the edit to be, add text, everything else, cut shots up. And then this is where I'm going to see what this looks like, the final version. And here are basically the settings for everything that I'm working on. We'll get into all this other stuff, audio, text, stickers, effects, transitions, filters, adjust, templates, as we go through this step by step. For the next lecture, go ahead, you saw in the previous section I said about downloading footage. If you want to follow along exactly as I am doing here, with the exact same footage, music, everything else, with the same video that I'm using, it's only a very short 40-second or so video. If you want to follow along with that, you absolutely can download that, because in the next video we're going to be importing that onto here for you to follow along. Okay, I'll see you over in the next lecture.